I think for me, it hurts a lot just to sit on the couch when my mind says, hey, I want to go train. But, I was diagnosed in 2006 and it's 2019 and I haven't quit yet. I'm still going. So if I can do it, I think anybody else can do it as well. I am Clint Darden and I'm an Elite FTS coach. Well, I'm originally from Murray, Kentucky, US of the A real small town in the middle of nowhere that most of the times people haven't heard of unless they know our basketball program that's successful every once in a while. I guess at age, 24, somewhere around there, I met a beautiful young lady, lived on the island of Cyprus in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. Kind of followed her out that direction. Getting involved in strongman, I remember around the year 2000, I decided that I wanted to weigh 300 pounds, no matter what. And I remember on December 26th, getting on the scale and weighing 306. I will never forget that. And I mean, I was so out of shape that I was out of breath walking from the couch to the bathroom, anywhere in the house. And I remember my mom saying, look, this is too far. This is dangerous. And I said, don't worry, when I break 300, I'm going to get in shape, whatever it takes. And a good friend of mine had the book called Dinosaur Training. And this guy talked a lot about picking up sandbags, thick-handled farmer's walk, grip work, flipping tires. And I thought it sounded a lot like manual labor, which was not for me. I didn't want to pay gym dues to do manual labor. But I think when I decided I wanted to lose weight and get into shape, that was probably the only thing I could do that sounded like cool physical activity. So I remember weighing 306, and the next day I made a pair of farmer's walk implements out of easy curl bar handles and went outside and did that. It almost killed me. I got a tire to flip, and I went out every day and flipped the tire. And it would took me more than a full minute to get one flip with the tire. And I look back years later and I would flip it with one hand. I wanted to transfer what I was doing in the gym into something. Maybe that was just a point in my life where I wanted to do something. I was training at home, my garage gym. I was going to school full time. I was working full time. I didn't have the time or the money to pay for a gym. So I put together a small garage gym out of equipment that I bought from UBID. It goes back that far. But there was a small strongman contest being advertised in McKenzie, Tennessee, and it was a 45-minute drive away. I signed up. I had no experience doing any of the events. I went and I took last in every event they did, took last out of every one, but still managed to qualify for nationals. And went to nationals, took second, and then from then on, I just kept making huge leaps and bounds of progress. And next thing I knew it, I was a pro in the States, moved overseas to be with my wife, and I had friends that were putting me in touch with other athletes in Hungary, Poland, Germany. And so, as an American, it was really cool just to get invited to go to these other countries and compete. And then you make friends in other countries that become friends and families. And it's a vicious cycle that just goes on and on for a couple of decades. I do have ulcerative colitis, and I was diagnosed in 2006. And I ended up taking from 2006 to 2009 off. I wasn't physically able to really train. Went through a lot of different medications. Some of them had really, really bad side effects, especially when it comes to training and performance. With any sport, or with anything in life, recovery is key. So you always want to be able to do as much as you possibly can recover from. You work a 16-hour day, and then you have to spend the next 8 hours sleeping to get your body to recover to work the next 16-hour day. So with ulcerative colitis, my body doesn't absorb a lot of nutrients and nutrition that I eat. So I think that really changed a lot of things. I've worked really hard to adjust the food, pull back my training when I need to, push whenever I can. I want to train probably more than anything else that I can imagine, and I will find a way to adapt as long as I possibly can. As long as I can adapt faster than I have to quit, that's what I'm going to do. There is no cure. No one has ever been cured. Every time someone contacts, and I've had other teammates here at Elite FTS contacted me and say, hey, I was diagnosed with the same thing, but my doctor's going to put me on this medicine. He believes I'm going to be fine. And I'm really hesitant to say, yeah, you're going to be fine. I can think of one teammate in particular that I told him the honest truth of what was in front of him. And he said, no, I'll be fine. The doctor said I'm going to be fine. And then he's still running the same cycle that I am with training. You know, the truth is nothing's going to be great. You're probably never going to be without pain. You're probably never going to want to be very far from a bathroom. Nausea is going to always be with you. But I think if you want to do something, you can find a way to do it. The one thing that I've changed over the years is that if I want to take a day off, I take a day off. And, you know, I gave a speech 4 years ago that was never meant for video about going all in or quitting. And I think that speech was taken totally the wrong way by everyone who listened to it. Most people took it as that you have to go all in and do something. You have to give up everything and go for it. And you know, the whole point is if your heart's not into it, don't be afraid to quit. You know, if it hurts too bad, quit. Maybe just for today, you know, but if you're not in love with your sport or what you're doing, don't be afraid to walk away. There's no shame in just saying, this isn't for me, I'm gonna walk away. But over the last couple of years, I have no shame in waking up and saying, you know what, today's not my day to train. I am resting today, and I'll walk over and I'll sit on the couch and sleep and instead of going to the gym. But you know, the flip side of that, I have no problem in taking cortisone injections so I can move my fingers so I can go out and train. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, but I think for me, it hurts a lot just to sit on the couch when my mind says, hey, I want to go train. But you know, I was diagnosed in 2006 and it's 2019 and I haven't quit yet. I'm still going. So if I can do it, I think anybody else can do it as well. I don't know how many times we've all been in that situation where we just think to ourselves, nobody understands, you know, and I think, you know, that's where people just get really sad and give up. So I think anytime that you can find someone else that you can relate to and you say, you know what, I understand where he's going. That's music. I mean, that's every song that you listen to, you know, that you hear that one song that just pulls something out of you, you're like, you know what, I get that. And whether it's a happy song or a sad song or rock song, whatever it is, you know, I think having some kind of connection to whatever you're seeing or hearing or reading, I think it helps. You know, I have a lot of clients that I work with online and they know not to give me excuses because I don't get much sleep. My joints do hurt, my stomach does hurt. And you know, I'm still going to give it everything I have, everything that I can give. That's what I'm going to do. So I love my kids, I love my wife, and I love my job, and I think that's part of life. I mean, that's part of what I go through. And you know, the older that I get, the more I start to think that I know nothing when it comes to coaching and training. And I think over the last several years, the last couple of years that I've been competing more and more, I've went out and learned more and more. And I've studied as much as I possibly can. And it makes me kind of think, you know, I've got so much to learn that I'm not for sure what I can really share training wise. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of the way I feel. When I'm here and I'm with my son and he screams a lot, he yells, he runs, and he's a kid that almost always has an iPad in front of him and headphones. And I've gotten a few looks from people like, oh, there's just another parent who's stuck on a screen in front of their child's face just to keep them occupied. And, you know, really, if someone says something, I just say, here, this is Luke. He has autism. And they're like, oh, okay. I get it. You know, they may not actually get it, but they seem to have an understanding of, we'll give him some latitude. We'll give him a break, you know. Whereas in Cyprus, if I mention my child is autistic, what's that? I've never heard of it before. So that makes it difficult because I have to try to explain it in Greek as well, which is always a fun experience. But I think at least here people have an understanding of what autism, it may be it may be an incorrect understanding of what it is, but at least here they know that they should give the child a little bit of credit. You know, he is trying really, really hard. But the advice that I would give to the parents, don't quit. Don't take anything personal. My son yells and screams nonstop. That's just the way he is. And as a parent, when your child, you know, just screams, the first thing you want to do is turn around and yell back even louder, be quiet, stop that. And then I look over at my son and he screamed, but he wasn't angry. He's really just talking. He's just making a noise. That's all it is making a noise. So I've learned not to get offended by anything that he does. Don't take it personal. And if another person on the street says something about my child, don't take it personal. Don't get offended. It's only important if I let it be important. So if they have an opinion about my son, that's okay. It's their opinion. You know, if there's someone who's important to me, then their opinion probably matters. And if their opinion probably matters, they probably know me, they've probably met my son, and they see that he's a good kid, and they're not going to be judgmental. So if they don't matter, I don't really care. I think if I have to tell someone, you know, what I want them to remember is just, you know, be kind to people, be nice to people, understand people, love people, don't judge them for anything. You have no idea what everybody else has gone through that day, that month, that year. You know, if you're going to point a finger, stick all of them out and shake their hand. You know, help someone before you push them. You know, if they're worth pushing down, then push them down later, but give somebody a helping hand first. I'm hoping that my kids are the legacy that I leave behind, because they're great kids. And I've always said that I want to change the world. And I hope that my kids grow up wanting to change the world too. I hope they learned that from their dad. Hey guys, LeDarn.com, and of course the House of Bicep. I'm here at elitefts.com with Andy here. Andy is a maniac on the farmer's walk floor. He told me he wasn't very good at farmers. He told me his numbers, he's actually pretty darn good. So I can't really fix a lot of stuff without seeing him do anything. So I'm just going to point out one or two small details that could possibly make him better if you wanted to get better at the farmer's walk event. So if you want, just go ahead and step up here in the middle. We'll shoot you that direction. Now, right off the bat, there's a couple things on the pickup. The farmer's walk event is won and lost in two places. One is the pick up and go, and two is the very, very end. So your start is very, very important. Right now, I can tell you he's not in the best position possible to pick up and go. I normally tell people when they grab the handle, I want you to grab the handle in the dead center. Now I want you to move your hand one finger forward. Okay, now if you pick it up one finger forward and you stand up, what's going to happen to the implement?
It's going to bend down.
It's going to tilt back as your hands are forward. So grab it back in the middle. Now bring your hand one finger back. Now whenever you pick this up now, it's going to lean forward just a little bit. Go ahead and pick it up. Just like that. You can set it back down. Now, that pickup and that slight lean forward is very, very important as long as the implements aren't crazy, crazy heavy. If you're using something that's a weight that absolutely scares you, then you don't want to pick it up too far back. But with the win and loss situation, you have to be ready. When you pick it up, you have to be ready, head up, looking where you're going. So when you pick up, you never stand up, you're up and you're ready to go. And having that implement, go ahead and pick it up again one more time. With that slight tilt forward, now it does even back up, but that very slight tilt forward at the start is what's going to carry this crazy guy forward just a little bit and get him moving. Now I see people before with really, really light implements. They used to grab all the way here in the front when their hand, if they had grip problems with their thumb over the front to aid in the grip, the same in the back. I think if you're moving anything too far forward, anything too far back, you're probably going to drop it at some point. You just need to work on your grip. What else can we talk about here? Two main things. From the start, you need to be anticipating. You can relax for a second. You need to be anticipating the guy with the stopwatch saying ready, set, go. Okay? Never say you're ready unless you're ready. So if there's a guy there with a stopwatch who's judging you that says, competitor ready, don't say yes. Don't be afraid to say no, I'm not ready. Shake your head, no, I'm not ready. So don't let don't let the referee dictate when it's your time to go. So if he's saying athlete ready, and you're down here trying to get your spot, or you're not mentally correct, just say, no, I'm not ready, and just stand there, make them wait on you. Don't start until you're ready, because the last thing you want is to drop it somewhere down the line because you weren't ready, didn't have your grip set. As soon as he says go, don't pick it up and stand. You want to pick it up, and as you start to move before you're completely locked out, go ahead and start stepping. Because as you could see, when you picked it up, it leaned forward. Your first step, it will level out, and you're already one step ahead of everybody else. The last mistake I see almost everybody do, and I've done this myself, is that you get to the very, very end, and there's a line, a finish line in front of you, and when you get to that finish line, what do? You look at it. Well, yeah, I've got to cross that line right there. So you look at it. Well, it's down there, and as you get closer, your head starts going down, and the next thing you know, you've lost all of your arch, and you're probably going to drop it when the line's right there in front of you. Happens to everyone. It's happened to me time and time again. So the only other piece of advice I can give to you is to keep your head up and go way past that line. Whether they're telling you that the front of the implement has to pass the line to the back of the implement, just keep going as far as you can. Stop at the nearest fast food joint, get some food, prepare for the next event. So guys, that's the basics on the farmer's walk. There are a million things that can go wrong, but there are some things that you can do right to make sure that you are going to win at the farmer's walk.
Yeah, if you're in a bad situation on a plane, pop an ammonia capsule, and it's either going to wake you up or the person next to you, but you will have a much more interesting flight with nose tort. I don't know why you guys are laughing like you've never done it. I just need a minute to see everybody. The chances are in a couple days I won't remember this. This is hard for me for a lot of reasons. I love public speaking. My first job out of high school was a professional motivational speaker. I have no problem standing in front of 10,000 people and talking for an hour. But you put me in front of one person or a group of people that I really care about, and it's hard. And this is hard for me. There is a lot about this that is hard for me. I came in the gym yesterday with everybody else, and Friday was my beginning of my 8th month of chemotherapy. I've lost 70 pounds. So I come in the gym looking like this, and I see my teammates that are just giant, squatting, deadlifting, and it's hard for me. Even more hard is all the side effects. If anybody's ever been on chemo before, there's this thing called chemo brain, basically where you forget simple things like how to talk, how to use words, how to speak. I get tongue-tied, I get lost in conversation. I don't know how to explain simple things to my wife about what I've done that day. I've gotten lost on the drive home to my house. I almost didn't make it to the hotel last night, and I've been there so many times, but I can't tell you how to get there. And that is hard. So in a few days, I will have forgotten many of you, and I made it a point today to do nothing but walk around and see each and every one of you and make eye contact with each and every one of you, whether you saw me or not. Because when I leave, I'm going to know that I stood in front of a group of people, I spoke, and they heard. Now, Dave asked me to stand up here and talk about motivation. And the simple fact is, if you've been through all of this today and you lack motivation, there is nothing that I can do or say that's going to motivate you. We probably have nothing in common. If you need me to motivate you, you're not the kind of person that I'm going to hang around with. If you don't have it inside, and I guarantee you, I have it inside, then you and I are not going to get along very well. See, there are two sides of me. Do I have any past clients in the room? Raise your hand. I've got a couple. Now, my clients have emailed me several times, and they always ask me questions like, what should I do? I don't know, what should I do today? I feel good, but I'm not for sure. Well, there are two sides of me. There is the coach, and there is the athlete. And those two people are very, very different. The coach will tell you, and this is the advice that I will give you today, the coach will tell you to be the tortoise and not the hare. To slow down. It's absolutely amazing that we said 160 something PR today, but as the coach, I will tell you, you should not have done it. You came in and said a PR, but do you know why you said a PR? If you do not know why you set that PR, then the PR was in vain. What was the point? You just set a PR. Be the tortoise, not the hare. One day you will be 50 years old, and you will still want to deadlift 800 pounds. This man can. There are a lot of 35-year-olds in the room that will tell you they're too beat up to train for powerlifting anymore. How is that? Be the tortoise, not the hare. Slow down. Take that 5-pound PR before you take that 50-pound PR. Take that 5-pound PR and figure out what you did to earn that 5-pound PR instead of taking that 50-pound PR. Now, there's the athlete side of me. Now, if you've ever seen me lift before, that athlete side of me is not a nice person. I came in the gym yesterday, did not talk to a single person. I didn't want to squat with anybody else. I wanted my own bar. I wanted to squat, didn't want to talk to anybody. Nothing. Dave settled me down. My wife can convince me to come over here and find a bar and actually train and say hi to people, but that's not the athlete me. Now, as the athlete, I will tell you that most of you today will make a major mistake. How many people are going home tonight? Raise your hand. Going home tonight. Tomorrow? Big mistake. How many people have moved across country just to train at a specific gym? Roads? How many people have dropped everything for this sport? Have given everything for... I see a lot of great people, great lifters just raise their hand. The advice I will give you as an athlete is to go all in or quit. Go all in. Give it everything you have. Getting in your car and leaving might be one of the worst things that you will possibly do all weekend. If you don't leave here, if you do leave here, it's terrible. If you stay, find a gym. There are so many great gyms within 30 minutes, 45 minutes. There are so many great coaches in this room that helped you out today. Did you get their email address? Their telephone number? I met Jim Windler. Didn't think the guy was even real. He gave me his whole phone number.
It's a fake number.
I still think it was a fake Jim Windler. Well, my phone number has like 15, so. But if you leave here without getting someone's phone number, their email address, their contact information, if you leave here and never get a piece of information from anybody else again, it's the worst thing you will have ever done. Go all in or get out. You see, there were 3 construction workers sitting on a bridge, working on building this bridge. They sat down for lunch one day. First construction worker opens his lunchbox. Bologna and cheese. Man, it's 2 weeks straight. I've had bologna and cheese every day for 2 weeks straight. You know what? Tomorrow, if I get bologna and cheese, I'm going to jump off this bridge. Kill myself. Life isn't worth living. Second construction worker opens his lunchbox. Bologna and cheese. Man, it's been 4 weeks straight. I've had bologna and cheese, guys. I can't take this anymore. Tomorrow, if I get bologna and cheese, I'm beating you off this bridge. Going to kill myself. Life is not worth living. Third construction worker opens his lunchbox. Bologna and cheese. 6 months straight, this guy's been having bologna and cheese. He says, guys, tomorrow, if I get bologna and cheese, I'm going to beat both you guys off this bridge, kill myself. Life is not worth living. Next day, first construction worker sits on the bridge, time for lunch, opens his lunchbox, cheeseburger. I was serious too, guys. I was going off this bridge. Second guy opens up his lunchbox, Philly cheesesteak. Guys, I was serious. I was going too. I was dead serious. Third construction worker opens his lunchbox, bologna and cheese. Stands up, jumps off the bridge, kills himself. Second construction worker says, man, I can't believe he did it. I can't believe he was serious. I was just joking. First construction worker says, yeah, I can. He packs his own lunch. See, your lunchbox is a whole lot more than just food. I handed out a couple of notes, 4 notes, actually. Start over here. If you can open up that note that I handed you and please read it to me.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Feeling good was good enough for me.
Feeling good? That was good enough for me.
Strange days have found us.
Strange days have found us. And Harry?
Oh, whatever. Never mind.
Now, in this group of people, in this setting, some of you guys might know who said that. If you know who said those, please raise your hand. Please don't tell anyone. There must be some kind of way out of here. Jimi Hendrix died at age 26, drug-related death. Strange days have found us. Jim Morrison died at age 26, drug-related death. Our next one.
Feeling good was good enough for me.
Feeling good was good enough for me. Janis Joplin died at age 26, drug-related death. And oh, whatever, never mind. Kurt Cobain died at age 26, drug-related death. And I'm not here to talk to anyone about drugs. I promise you that. I'm here to talk to you about life. Kurt Cobain is the one that interests me more than any one of those 4. See, Kurt Cobain was different. See, all of these people died a different death, like the construction worker. But Kurt Cobain sat in a hotel room and took his driver's license out of his wallet. You see, when he put that shotgun to his head, he wanted people to know that it was him. And he sat down and wrote a note saying that I cannot go through life with my child growing up, knowing that both of her parents are druggies. And when he took his life, he took everything that was in his lunchbox. The thing is, he packed his own lunchbox, and he was tired of what's in it. I can promise you one thing. My body's been dying for 2 years. But I'm living more than any other person in this room. And I refuse to let any one of you live a better life than me. Now, for the athletes here, we have this question and answer on our team page. And people send in all kinds of questions. And just after I began chemotherapy, someone sent me a question that I never got the guts to answer. And they commented that my first squat session after beginning chemotherapy, they couldn't believe, they wanted to know what was inside of me that gave me the guts to get under a PR box squat. And I remember that, and I will never forget that feeling for the rest of my life. There was 735 pounds on the bar, plus Onyx heavy bands. And just like every other squat day, when I set up, probably beat my head against the bar, reached out and grabbed the bar, looked at the central knurling. That was the first time I'd ever squatted and felt fear. Not fear that I was going to die. Not fear that I was going to tear something. My tendons are tearing nonstop. Not fear that I was going to miss the lift. But for the first time in my life, I was afraid that I had already taken the heaviest squat I was ever going to take in my entire life. As an athlete, that is the worst thing you can ever experience is to look behind you and say that my best has already happened. As the coach, be the tortoise, not the hare. As the athlete, go all in or quit. Find something else to fill your lunchbox with that you love. But don't give in to that. Guys, I won't remember you. I won't remember you in a few weeks. But as I watch each of you leave today, I will remember that I stood here today in front of an amazing group of people, that I spoke and that they listened. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me to finally meet a lot of these people and to put voices and faces with just names. The coaches here are great, the athletes are great, and guys, please have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Was training hard while doing chemo a good idea?
I just ran another course. I finished up a couple weeks ago. I went from pulling, I remember pulling somewhere between 8 and 810 as a third rep. So I had something like 700 pounds on the bar, and then I pulled a single, and then added chains, pulled a single, added chains, pulled a single, and the last rep that I pulled was over 800. I remember going from that to 3 weeks later, getting a nosebleed, pulling 308 pounds as a partial deadlift, and it was everything I had. But man.
So was that a good idea?
Yes, absolutely. There's no place else in the world I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being sitting in the house, and I told this story once in my entire life in front of a small group of close friends. I remember eating lunch with my family and going. I couldn't finish my food. I went out to get my car and I couldn't drive to the gym. I was so sick. I was getting car sick driving myself. And I'd taken my gym bag and put it in the trunk of my car. And I came back inside and threw my bag down. And my wife was like, what's wrong? Why aren't you going training? And I said, I can't drive. Physically, I can't get to the gym. And she said, get your bag, put it in my car. So I got my bag, put it in her car, and she drove me from the house to the gym. And it's normally a 15-minute drive, and it took us about a half hour to get there because she had to pull over for me to puke every couple of minutes. And we got to the gym. She dropped me off, and I went inside the gym. And I don't know where she went. I'm sure she probably just parked at the church down the street. But she said, I'll be back in 2 hours. And I went inside, and I was doing weightlifting at the time. I put on my Adidas shoes, got on my fancy tight shorts, my knee sleeves, wrist wraps, and I taped my thumb. And I've got a photo that I took because that's all I could do. But I sat there for 2 hours in the gym, and I just looked. And it's the smells of the gym, the chalk on my hands, the tape on my thumbs, the smell of my neoprene sleeves. And I remember looking over there and thinking, you know what, in a few months when I get healthy, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to squat and I'm going to snatch and I'm going to rotate these exercises. And all I did for 2 hours was sit there. My wife came back and she's, 2 hours later, and she sent me a text message and she said, I'm outside. And I said, I can't change clothes. I'm inside. I've got to have your help. I don't have the energy to change clothes. So she came inside, got me out of my gym clothes, got me into regular clothes, got me back in the car, and took me home. And she did that several times. And it got to the point to where she did that so often that she began going to the gym and training with me. Just because if she was going to have to be there anyway, might as well train. And I think, that brought us, a lot closer together. And we trained for a long time with the exact same bar, with the exact same weights. And we had a lot of training sessions where she would beat me every single day in the gym on snatch, clean and jerk, squat, front squat, deadlifts, for months and months at a time. She would beat me. But if I can get to the gym, I will. I'll do something. I can sit, even if I can't train, I can sit there and make plans. But there are things that you can do and sit here in this gym and just look out at the equipment and you can make plans. It's stuff that you can't do at home. You can't just sit at home with a notebook, pen, and paper and come up with plans. Not as good as you can if you're here at the gym and you can smell it. And I had AC/DC still cranking on the radio and still making plans. But yeah, I couldn't. I had a ton of injuries. I had 2 bicep tears, 2 hamstring tears, a lat tear, and a tricep tear in a short period of time. I went from a body weight of 292 to somewhere below 220. I quit getting on the scale at that point in about 4 weeks. Last year, I was 287. I was somewhere below 230, and then I was back up in the 270s again. And then even this year, I've been in the 250s, I've been in the 280s, and I've been in the 260s, even so far this year. So what's the other option, though?
Not going.
Is that really an option?
I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, I legit had days where the couch was where I wanted to be, where I woke up and said, my goal for today was to get from the bedroom to the couch. And that's all I did that day. That was it. But if I could get to the gym any way possible, that's what I did. Absolutely what I did. For better, for worse, that's where I was. Hey guys, clickdarden.com, and of course the House of Bicep. I'm here at elitefts.com with my buddy Andrew here. We're going to work on his log press, see if we can fix some of the mistakes that he is having, make him and you a better presser. So let's get started. You said you don't normally have any kind of problems with the clean, but if you make the clean easier, your press is obviously, I think most people have that problem or find the same thing. If you can make the clean easier, the press is obviously going to be easier. So you want to just go through a couple of cleans. This is 110, something we can just play with. So I'll just step out of your way here, see if we can pick up a couple things that's going on.
Just cleans?
Whatever you want to do. You want to clean and press?
All right, we'll start clean press.
Now, do you feel comfortable with that clean? Because your hips are pretty high, which makes you think you're probably a fairly good deadlifter as well. When you use a larger log, this is a 10-inch log. When you use a 12-inch log in competition, I think sometimes you'll see a lot of people that have to squat down a little bit more because the log handles are out here instead of in here. So where it's close, you can actually pick it up. I would tell you to wear a belt. That way you can get that little cheat factor on the clean. That way, once you get it to your knees and you can squat all the way down, you can actually use that belt to pop and stand up, because with a really heavy log, you don't want to end up popping a bicep or having to curl a log, because your best log press is around 270. We can't curl 270.
Definitely not.
Absolutely. On the press, I want you to do this exact same thing. The only thing that I want to see you do different on the press than what this one rep you just did was when you are right here with the log, the only thing that your knees did was come straight forward. And what I want to see you do is I want your knees to go out. I want you to hit the blades of your feet a little bit, just like a jerk in weightlifting. I don't want to see your knees come forward. That puts a lot of stress on your knees. I want your knees to go out here. That way you can drive up. Because if your knees go forward, the first thing that happens is you're going to be leaning back just like this. So you really have no legs to drive up. You've got calves to drive up, and you can't calf press 270. But if we can get your legs a little more into it and your knees go out, your body is still center line. You have to lean back a little bit because it is a log, but your body is still center line, and you can actually use your legs to drive up from there.
Makes sense.
So just try it and play with it. See if you can feel anything different. Clean the same way. Now think knees out on this, nothing else but knees out. Okay, take it back to your chest. Now I want you to spread your feet out about 1 inch each foot. And just think knees out, weight on the blades of your feet.
That felt a lot better.
Might be a lot better. It might throw things off technically a lot. When someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm having knee pains or patellar tendonitis, something like that, one of the first things I'll ask is, when does it hurt? And almost all strong men will say it hurts when I press. So whether they're pressing with an axle, pressing with a log, pressing with a dumbbell, I can almost always guarantee that the one thing that they are doing wrong is when they are right here with the log or the bar, their knees are going forward, and that puts all of that weight right there on the knee and the calf, and they don't have any drive up. So if all they can do is spread out, keep the chest, I tell people to present the chest when they are here, then they can actually use their legs to drive up and then push the log to go under. You mentioned you do a push press. Can you do a push jerk? Mm-hmm. Can you do a second dip?
Yep.
All right, let's see what we can come up with here. Think about the knees out. That's smooth. There's not really anything to correct on that. The only thing I tell people with the log is to continue to work on your strict press and your push press, because nobody presses a 400-pound log with a jerk. So you're going to have strong shoulders. You're going to have strong triceps. You're going to have to be able to press, because at the end of the day, everyone has to press out a heavy log. When you're working with a light weight, or for those very select few that can dip under it, always don't forget that you're not dipping just for the sake of dipping. You are driving up, and at that point, the log is almost free, and you're actually just pushing yourself down. Okay? Try one more. This probably isn't enough weight for you, to be honest. Okay. But no, that's okay. This is good. Try one more. And I want you to relax, keep your elbows up. A quick dip, not a slow dip down. But when you're here, make a quick knees out and drive under. But don't press until the log is, until you're at a full extension all the way up. Okay. Let's try it one more time. Okay, quick dip, knees out, extend up and drop down. That's really, really fast. That's crazy fast. And actually, the double dip is hard to do with 110 pounds, because if you drive all the way up with your body, yeah, it's going to fly up on its own. I really wish you guys would have found me someone that had a lot of problems with their log press, because this guy's actually a really, really good log presser, and there's not much I can tell you to do. In your training, do you know what works for you on your log press?
Yeah, what works best for me is when I separate on 2 separate days, heavy log pressing. So I'll do push pressing out of the rack, and on my other day I'll do speed work with a lot of Vipers.
Okay. Do you ever do any kind of incline log press?
I don't, personally. Never
Okay.
tried it.
Well, if you know what works for you, there's absolutely not a single reason to change it.
You could always learn, though.
You can always learn and try new things, so always kind of add something new in and see if it works. But I think you're on the right track, man. Keep working on the strict press, keep working on the push press, get your shoulders stronger, triceps stronger. Do board presses work for you?
Never tried.
Never tried board presses?
Yeah, I have a limited experience with a lot of moves.
Well, they're not a board press with the log, but a board press just with the bench press. A lot of strong men have found that when their 3 board press was up, they knew that their log press was up. If they had the leg drive, if they had the back strength, if their technique was good through technical day work on the log press, and their bench press was up, say their 3 board was up as well, they knew they had the tricep strength to lock out almost anything they could get above their head.
I can see that. Definitely something I'll try and implement too.
Well, guys, this is all I've got for this crazy guy. This guy is way too good to need to coach. Come back. We'll see you next time.